What's up, YouTube? Lee here from Card Games United. Gonna go over Dark Irregulars. Uh, they're not great right now, but they're finally not ass.
Actually, they're not the worst deck that came out of this set. You know what is the worst deck that came out of this set? To be profiled later.
No, you just did Bellman. Oh, poor Dantarian. Because Dantarian is the man.
What do?
What do? What do? He looks at your soul and says, "This is my hand now. Fuck off." He also says, "Look at my rear guards. Now look at my hand. Now look at my rear guards. Now look at your board. Where are your rear guards? They're in the drop zone. My rear guards swing for 50k. Good night." Then we have 2 copies of Death Anchor, because sometimes you need a finisher, unfortunately. I really would love to try and get away from him and just play pure Dantarian, but the problem is, like, deleters exist, and if you don't ride Dantarian, you're kind of screwed, and sometimes you just need that little bit more finishing power. So, 2 copies of Death Anchor, and 2 copies of Demon Eater, because Death Anchor without Demon Eater is like peanut butter without jelly.
I thought you were going to refer to Shadow Paladin's peanut butter dragon without, like...
Hey, notice how what you just said got cut out?
Oh.
Yeah, it's like peanut butter without jelly. I'm certain we'll get our bananas eventually, but until now, this is all we got. Great ones. 4 copies of Dimension Creeper. What he does is continuous. If you have a grade 3 in Soul, he gets 5k. And then Act, Counterblast 1, slip him on the bottom of deck, Soul Charge 3 when he's in Soul.
Consistency card, yay!
Consistency card, maybe. It's more of just a Soul Charge engine with a little bit of power on top. Good card is good. Then we got 4 copies of Alluring Succubus. If you are not running this at 4, I do not know what the fuck you are doing. Because honestly, she boosts the hell out of your consistency, she adds to your soul, she works with both bosses, just... I do not know what else you would want. Like, less counterblast? Maybe. But I can't do everything for you. Go home. Hug your wife. Love your children. Then we have 2 copies of Joker. This card could honestly be cut, but you know, I like him. He adds to the flavor of the deck, gives you a couple more retires. Sometimes. He's vanilla. But yeah, it's a fun card. Could you replace it with, like, anything else? Certainly. But I like him. I'm thinking of cutting him. Okay, so now that we're back from the edit, 4 copies of Doreen the Thruster.
Fuck that card.
Remember when I said my column swing for 50k? Make that 80. Yeah. Doreen is amazing. If you all remember the days where Doreen stayed in versions of the deck for like 3 fucking seasons after she had been released, yeah, she's gonna stay in versions of the deck for like 3 fucking seasons. She is just that good. She looks at your opponent and says, "Hey, you are gonna get punched in the face. Don't deny it, just accept it, damn it."
That's why I like playing Kagero, just so I can retire that shit.
And then I'm like, haha, I play 4. Yeah, but if you do run up against Kagero or something, just make sure you hold on to her until you're ready to make your Death Anchor play, because it is a sad, sad man that is without his Doreen on his Death Anchor turn. Next up, 4 copies of Flirtatious Succubus. This thing is trollsy and amazing, and I love it. Really, really, really wish she was a 9k body, but yeah. Really, really, really wish she was a 9k body.
But she has a good ability.
She has an amazing ability. She has 2 very good abilities, in fact. Because the first one, end of battle, she attacks, slip her into soul, pop 1. Good control. Gets you soul for Dantarian's effect, because she herself is grade 2, and thus gives 5 to 3 things when she slips in. Gets you procs of Dantarian's skill, and then she just sits in the soul until you're ready to retrieve her with her second ability, which is Counterblast 1, discard a card, fetch her from soul. So, adds to the consistency, gives you more control options, and just fuels the ever-loving hell out of Dantarian. The one thing I'm not so sure on about Bushiroad's design for this deck is that they really did hard gear shift, because so much of the Dantarian-focused stuff, like, just sort of doesn't care whether Death Anchor is there or not. So, with the sole exception of the fact that Death Anchor prefers you play more grindy, which a lot of the Dantarian stuff does. Speaking of playing more grindy, 3 copies of Dark Soul Conductor. Now this is a bad card, but it is a bad card we have to play because of how the deck works. Eat your Cheerios.
What's it do?
Cards for 15.
Oh, that's like playing Wallaby in Great Nature.
No, it's in fact much, much, much better than Wallaby because it doesn't have to guard from field.
Oh.
And it is still a bad card. It is just one we are obligated to play. Next up, we have 2 copies of Gwyn the Ripper. I wish his effect went off more often.
Nope, only on place.
It's not even about being on place, it's that you have to pay a counterblast, which you can't really afford all that often. Like, I would like to be running, so left to my own devices, I would totally run 4 copies of this and just swap the other grade 3s out for the grade 3 that retires and just poke stuff all day, but unfortunately there's other people to consider and other people beat you when you play trash decks. Single tier.
Yeah. Totally profile deleters.
Then we have 2 copies of anything. For my anything, I have selected Authority of Water and Blue Dust. Blue Dust because he's trollsy, Authority of Water because you need more counterblast. Yeah. Should maybe cut the Gwyn the Rippers for more of each of these just because they're good.
Or cut those for Gwyn the Ripper.
No, because the problem is Gwyn the Ripper just almost never goes off. Because, like, yes, I love having the retire option, but it only works if you're at 10 soul, and it only works if you have the counterblast available. Which, because it's 2 counterblast to go into your finishing combo with, what's his fuck?
Death Anchor.
Death Anchor. Yeah. So, the fact of the matter is that sometimes you just look at your counterblast and you say, I cannot use this if I want to win the game. So, having something in that needs to use a counterblast can get excessively annoying if it doesn't directly push for your goal. Which Gwyn hypothetically does, but it requires a very specific set of circumstances. That said, again, left to my own devices, I would love to play just like max of this and max of Gwyn the Ripper. Then we got triggers. 4 heals, because heals. 4 PGs, because PGs. And then we are playing 8 crit. Used to play a couple of extra draws just because you need the pieces. I know some people who play a couple of extra draws just because you need the pieces. But unfortunately, this is one of those situations where it's just crits or crits. You gotta threaten sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Dark Irregulars, better than Deleters.
So, yeah, honestly, right now this deck is, like...
It's playable.
It's definitely playable. Like, on a good day, it'll hit tier 2 for you.
Why don't you just play more Authority of Waters? I just read that card. It's pretty fucking good.
It is, but unfortunately, it needs the retire to go off, so it's one of those cards where it's a 2-card combo. Which is unfortunate. It also needs the Solitaire more. Unfortunately for this deck, there's just not a lot of stuff that goes off early game, other than, like, Blue Dust. So,
yeah,
you kind of end up sitting there for the first 3 turns, like, well, I don't do much, but in a turn or two, I'm going to do a lot.
I guess you might have to cut Gwyn the Ripper.
I don't want to, though. I would really rather just play trash that's fun. Yeah. So, like I said, on a good day, this will hit tier 2 for you. So, it's finally in a state where it's you can take it to a tournament and not, like, get laughed out.
So it's out of the Nova Grappler tier.
In fairness, Nova Grappler is going to be out of the Nova Grappler tier in like 2 seconds here.
So it's out of the Aqua Force tier then.
Just wait for glory.
You know, they're probably still going to find a way to make that trash.
Yeah. So, what this deck does well against, a lot of things with, like, very specific aggro.
Aqua Force.
Because you have the option to just be guarding with 5Ks from Soul all day long, and you have the option to be generating...
Didn't this beat Golds?
Protect, yes. It did beat Golds. That's just my experience, though. I'm certain the people out there making the tier list have their own statistics that probably tell more truth than I do, but honestly, yes, it can beat Golds because it does have the option to just throw out 5Ks from Soul and ignore all the pokes.
Yeah, how's the Deleter matchup now?
The Deleter matchup now is better. I used to play with just 4 Dantarian because it's more fun, and 4 of the Rearguard grade 3, but the problem is Deleters freaking ate that because it's just like, okay, you only have 4 rideable cards in your deck. How about if they didn't have an effect? And how about if the card you're relying on to bolster your defense can't bolster your defense? So, this doesn't do well against Deleters, yeah. Which is kind of a problem, but the good news is that Deleters are trash, so...
No one plays them anyways. I wonder how this does against Neo Nectar and stuff.
It does okay against Neo Nectar just because it can produce Protect Gifts. It's gonna be a full fight, though. You're not gonna just walk away with it.
I wonder if this could be a solid rogue option against, like, Bermudas when they come out.
We'll see. I don't know, but we'll see. I'm certain I'll be here trying my little Dark Irregular card out.
'Cause fuck Bermudas!
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Fuck Bermudas. Bye-bye!